What is going on, Dominators? Rico Garcia here, back again with an amazing money-making podcast. Let me tell you, this one is definitely really good because we are going to share with you a simple and easy bolt-on business to your water mitigation, mold remediation, fire, smoke restoration, biohazard, whatever it is that you do within the restoration arena. This is something that you can immediately today implement and start increasing your average order value, increasing your average invoice, all just simply by making a recommendation. I'm telling you, this is something that we used in our restoration company that really made a huge difference, especially in the restoration and the commercial side. It was simple, easy, and more importantly, the customers were consistently happy. Today, we're going to be talking with Tim Haywood from Greentech Environmental, and what they have are tons of amazing air filtration devices, active air filtration devices that you can go ahead and recommend to your customers, whether that's residential, commercial facilities. Literally, there's tons and tons of opportunities for you to make money today simply by making some very simple recommendations that not only are going to make sense to the customer, they make sense to you as the restorer. And we're going to get into some of the money-making mechanics and then also some of the technology on why you should make these recommendations, what makes their devices so amazing. I'm personally a huge fan, not only for the devices themselves, but also for the money-making opportunity that is an easy, super simple bolt-on. If it's just you in the truck and you're, working these deals on residential, listen, if you can go ahead and increase, 8 out of 10 of your invoices by an additional $1,000, well, that adds up. If you have a team of 10, 15, 30, 40 trucks on the road, and every single one of your projects are being presented with this opportunity, you're talking about potentially hundreds of thousands, if not maybe even millions of dollars that you can add to your business just like that. So without further ado, let's jump into the podcast. I hope you enjoy. Let's go.
Welcome to the Restoration Domination Podcast, where you learn actionable advice that moves the needle and helps service-based businesses dominate. Here's your host, Rico Garcia Jr.
What is going on, Dominators? Welcome to another episode. Tim, brother, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us here today. Are you ready to help us dominate?
Absolutely. Let's do it.
Let's do it, man. All right, good. So full disclosure, this is actually the second time that we're doing this live recording, because the first time we had just every single technical difficulty under the sun. So again, thank you so much for joining us here again. I know that sometimes it's a little frustrating, but you know what? I think that the message is really that important. But before we kind of get into all of this stuff and what you guys do over there, do me a favor and fill in some of the gaps on my intro. For those that may not be familiar with you, that may not be familiar with Greentech, let us know, how amazing you guys are and what you guys do.
Yeah, Greentech is an incredible company. We're based here in Johnson City, Tennessee, and we've been around for about 15 years. Greentech came to be out of necessity. Our founder, Alan Johnson, he's a literal rocket scientist. He created some of the missile defense systems that we're still using today. He had top Pentagon clearance, but he's an engineer, obviously, and he was faced with an issue, and that issue was very close and personal to him. It was his mother, who was an educator, a teacher, and she had developed what is known as sick building syndrome. Her whole career, she taught in a school building that was built around the turn of the century and had clean, healthy air. In the 80s, 90s, she moved into a new school building that was sealed up, and had HVAC and recirculating the air, and the carpet was off gassing, and the paint on the wall was off gassing, and there was mold issues, and the furniture's off gassing, and all of a sudden, this incredibly healthy woman, is now having some very severe health issues. And so Alan really took it upon himself to say, what can we do to make the air inside this building cleaner and safer for his mother. And he looked and saw some of the things that NASA was doing already to clean the air in the space shuttle and be able to grow plants on the space station. And he utilized that technology, the same technology, by the way, that is cleaning the air outside naturally. And how can we use that to clean air indoors? And so that's where Greentech came from. And we've been doing that now for 15 years, improving upon the processes and looking and continually asking the question, what can we do to make the air inside your space cleaner?
That's awesome, man. And let's talk about the whole business aspect of it, because there's this whole model that really works inside of the restoration arena. And we were talking a little bit about this off camera. Us as contractors, especially in the restoration space, a lot of times we are, number one, we're extremely busy. We all understand the hard work that goes into the industry, but there's a lot of like in and out type of mentality. In other words, it's like, hey, there's a dry out, let's go ahead and dry it out, and we walk away. Or there's a mold remediation project, we do the mold remediation project, and we're off to the next one. And I myself, I know that I was introduced to you guys, the Greentech, several years ago. As a matter of fact, I think my first exposure to it was through one of the events for either John Don or Violan. It was one of the two.
Mm-hmm.
And big shout out to John Don and big shout out to Violan Management. And they were talking about the technology and they were talking about the devices. And I was like, man, this is a beautiful, beautiful plug-in, right? A bolt-on to an existing business. You're already getting the phone call for the water mitigation. You're already getting the phone call for the mold remediation, whatever the case may be, right? And typically we always get the exact same question. At least I know I did on the residential side. What can I do, especially for mold projects? What can I do to prevent this from happening again? And of course, what that does is that opens up a whole new conversation, right? Because now you have a customer who, number one, is already happy with the services that you provided, but then number two is now receptive to you giving them some additional advice. And although these devices may not prevent a new, pipe from bursting or the new development of mold, but it does help to maintain that indoor air quality. And that's really what people are asking for. So talk to us about the whole business model. And then I want to go back in after that and talk about what really makes these devices so amazing and so different from what a lot of people, think about when it comes down to, cleaning indoor air.
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. That the way this works as far as a business model for contractors, like you said, you I wish our machines could prevent a pipe from bursting, right, or a basement from flooding. We can't get that far yet, right? And we're not going to replace the actual remediation that a contractor is going to go in and dry out the space and take care of it. But like you said, what we can do is we can mitigate after the event. And I'm sure you and your contractors, your listeners are very aware that mold exists almost everywhere anyway. And if you can start to mitigate the mold that's going to happen without the pipe burst, right? The mold that's going to happen without the flash flood. Now you're ahead of the game. Also, mold is one of those things that kind of hangs around. And so this works perfectly to be able to say, when you get that question, and the question always comes up, right? What can I do to continue to help my space? And we have those products, whether it's a product to help prevent mold from continuing to grow, or a product, people have VOCs in their house all the time before they call the restoration contractor. They've got pets, they got kids, they cook food. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff in the house that is giving off odors, giving us VOCs, and making the house unhealthy. Here's your next step. And we really have the greatest line of products to be able to help you pinpoint exactly what you're looking for, exactly what that need may be, whether it is pets or mold or odors or other issues. We can help them mitigate that, so that if the restoration guy needs to come once a year, that's great, but he's continuing to work there all year long.
Exactly right. And I've personally experienced, and again, I understand that every single home is totally
Hmm.
different set of circumstances. You're never going to get the exact same mold pattern. But again, once you see enough of these projects after a while, you kind of start, really understanding what things should look like or why they're looking the way that they are. And I've walked into properties that have had zero devices installed, and all of a sudden they had a mold bloom, or due to a bad dry out they had mold, whatever the case may be. And we're talking about walls covered. And then I've walked into other properties with the device, right? The properties that we've treated before had a new event, whatever the case may be, something, and by the time that we got there, we know that we should have seen some pretty large mold
Oh
growth.
yeah.
And not to say that it was gone, not to say that it didn't happen, but like the sheer amount that we know we should have been experiencing by the time that we walked in was a totally different ball game. So
Hmm.
I think that there is something to be said about, the preemptive approach, and, getting rid of the mold and that's already pre-existing in the house anyways, because no one's ever going to have, every time you open and close the door, we all know
Right.
mold's getting inside the house one way or another. Whether or
Right.
not you're going to have, if you're going to need remediation, that's a different story, right? But
Exactly.
but to have these kind of devices, and one of the things that I'd love for you to talk to us about is the fundamental difference between how your devices really work and what a lot of the HEPA filter style devices, these are what are called the passive devices. The
Right.
example that I would always give is the difference between having a mouse trap and having the cat, right? That house cat
Right.
example. One is passive. You got to wait for the mouse to kind of, eat the cheese. And the other is, a go getter. I always identified you guys' as devices as the go getter. So break that down for us in that technology and how it works.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. The mouse trap versus the mouse. And listen, we have nothing against mouse traps. In fact, we think the passive side is important. We just think the active side is better, if not just as important as the passive, right? And so what we do is we have developed technologies. Actually, we haven't developed them. They were already happening outside, naturally. What we've done is improved upon them for indoor use. One of those is photocatalytic oxidation, big
Mm-hmm.
$6 word, right? And what that is when UV rays from the sun come in contact with naturally occurring metals in our atmosphere, titanium dioxide primarily. When those two come together, there's a reaction that's formed, and it takes the moisture in the air and converts it into hydroxyls, or basically hydrogen peroxide. And
Mm-hmm.
so that is literally in the airspace seeking these VOCs, seeking these volatile organic compounds, and destroying them before they can become harmful to someone who may breathe those in. So if we took a picture of a person who's standing in the room, two people standing in a room, right? Both of those people are putting off VOCs.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they may be harmful. Sometimes it could be a virus, right? It's going to make someone else sick. uh, Most of the time, all the time, we're putting something off, even if it's not going to make somebody sick. We're bringing in dust from outdoors, pet dander from our house, what we had for lunch, whatever. Now, if there's a great filter in that room, that filter, you're having to wait for all of those VOCs to reach the filter. And if that person's standing between you and the filter, they're going to be contaminated with whatever that VOC is. If we have a unit in the room that is putting these hydroxyls into the air and cleaning the air, well, then what we're able to do is mitigate those VOCs before they become harmful to somebody else. Now, again, that's why, because this is happening naturally outside, it's why outdoor air is always 10 times better than indoor air. And you're going to have listeners that are in Los Angeles or New York, or maybe even like Maui right now, where they're having the wildfires, and they're saying, well, it can't be better here outside than it is inside. The crazy and scary thing is, it actually is better outside. It actually is better outside in the smog and the smoke and whatever you have outside, because the difference is there is that constant mitigation outside. Whereas indoors, if you're in a sealed up building, which most all of us are now, that's running HVAC, we're just recirculating toxins
Right.
over and over and over again. And so what we're able to do with PCO, with photocatalytic oxidation, is mitigate that. We use things like ionization, again, another naturally occurring technology that's happening outside that takes the particulates in the air, clumps them together so they become heavy and they fall to the surface. If you think about when you see that sunburst come through your window and you see all those little particulates kind of floating, we're taking those out of the air. And you can't destroy matter, right? So we can at least take them out of your breathing space to where you can wipe them up off your floor, off your surface. We are able to use, in certain instances, when it's appropriate, ozone,
Mm.
extremely effective against mold. And you can dose that depending on your event, right? So as part of the restoration process, high doses of ozone is extremely effective against mold. We encounter ozone outside on a daily basis. Again, it's one of the things that's cleaning the air for us outside. So in low doses inside, it can be very healthy and very helpful to clean your indoor space. Um, and then on top of all of that, we do have units that utilize HEPA filtration,
Mm.
um, and we've coated our filters. Any product we have does have a filter on it, right? Because if we're moving air, if we're pushing something out into the space, it has to have a filter on it, or else you're going to ruin the componentry. So we decided, okay, if we're going to have a filter on it, why not make it one of the best filters? Why not use a HEPA filter or a high MERV rated filter? And then what we've gotten the exclusive right to do here very lately is coat those filters in a substance called Odagard. Now, Odagard is on about 95% of all adult diapers that are manufactured in the United States. What Odagard does is when a biologic comes in contact with there's a reaction there on a contact level to where it separates that biologic. It breaks it down from a molecular level, so it no longer exists in the state that it once did. And so the odor goes away. It's why it's on adult diapers. But again, we take the best of passive and we put it with the best of active, and you really have this 1-2 punch that is, I mean, really nothing can compare to. I mean, we have the best air purifiers in the world, hands down.
That's awesome. And something to kind of keep in mind too about why, why this makes so much sense, especially if you're doing mold remediation, or if you just got off of a water mitigation project. People are constantly going to be concerned about the indoor air quality. Here's what happens, and I'm sure that anybody who's been doing mold remediation for any extended period of time, they've had conversations with clients that have developed hyper sensitivity to
Yeah,
mold, meaning, you've already done mold remediation, they were out of the house for a couple of weeks, they started to feel better, you get a clearance, you know that you did the job properly, everything flying colors is perfectly fine, they come back into the house, but they have this sensitivity, they start to feel symptoms again, or whatever the case may be, and there's
yeah,
really not a whole lot more that you can do. This is another reason why we were able to, on the company side, is just fit this in so well, because once you're done as a pro and you pretty much have done everything that you can, but now you're dealing with another human being who just naturally, the way that their body works is, hey, they're hypersensitive at this point, they need to have that added measure. And what I found is, just by doing a simple install, a lot of these devices were even portable.
yeah.
All of a sudden, like, people would be like, oh man, I just feel great, I feel so much better. It's just that additional layer of comfort.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And if you think about it, when a contractor goes into a home after a mold event or a water event, even a smoke event, right? What are you actually treating? You're treating the walls, you're treating the floors, the carpets, you're doing the dry out. Anything that's a surface, that surface mold, that's what you're treating. What you are not able to treat is the mold spores that are in the air, the mold spores that are hanging out. So you bring fans in, you open up the windows, you open up the doors to try to suck everything out. But the reality is there are still going to be mold spores that are in that space. And you're right. I'm very sensitive to mold. I volunteer every summer at a youth camp, and every year I would get sick because the cabin I was in was just moldy, and I can tell mold from a mile away. But what we're able to do is treat an area that you're not able to treat, and that's the air, the volume of space that's in between all the other spaces that you treat, and that's the air. And if we can treat the air, if we can take the mold spores out of the air, we've suddenly made your job a lot easier next time. And we've made that space for your customer a lot healthier. And you're going to get a lot fewer calls when you leave the job that says you missed a spot, right? Like there's
Right.
still got to be something here. And
Yep.
it is there. But it's not on a place you treated. It's in the air.
Right. Yeah, and one thing that I always made very clear when I was dealing with customers was, with these devices, between the photocatalytic oxidation, right, the activated oxygen, the ionization, and everything else, it's like literally, it's almost like having, million little mold remediators that are like consistently scrubbing all the surfaces and getting into all the little nooks and crannies that normally you just wouldn't be able to have access to. And that visualization to them, it's like, oh yeah, it totally makes sense. Let's talk about the actual business model and where the money making opportunity is at for restoration contractors, and why they should be making these recommendations above and beyond everything that we just mentioned now, right? Which totally, I think, should make sense just based on that alone, but then also just the financial benefit to it. But before we do that, let's just take a quick moment to thank our sponsors. Dominators, let's face it, your company will make it or break it on the backs of your estimating team. But if we're honest here for a second, what tools have you actually given them to succeed? The Actionable Profile is the newest tool inside of your estimator's toolbox, or at the very least, it should be. The Actionable Xactimate Profile is a data-driven solution that provides real-time estimating guidance on the fly. It checks for both overages, omissions in your estimates in real time, leading your team to having much more accurate scopes each and every single time that they're writing an estimate. Avoid any kind of potential conflicts with the adjuster and ensure that your estimates include every single warranted line item with the Actionable Xactimate Profile. Get your free demo today. If you head on over to value.getinsights.org/dominate, we've got an amazing offer for you. Again, head on over to value.getinsights.org/dominate and get your free demo today. Hey Dominators, real quick, I want to drop a name on you that I think can make all the difference in the world in your business, and that name is Jerry Edel. Who's Jerry? Jerry's a specialist when it comes down to referral revenue from insurance agents. He started way back in the day in the 70s as a restoration technician, and 34 years later ended up as a national sales trainer for one of the largest restoration franchise companies in the US. And for the past 16 years, he's been helping restoration contractors succeed at creating long-term referral revenue from insurance agents. And by success, Jerry expects a full-time sales professional in 12 months to have created at least 40 agency partners to commit to sending you at least 5 referrals a year. And Jerry's process, listen, it's unique. It's different from all of the traditional insurance agent sales strategies. And more importantly, Jerry can help you create a long-term referral revenue from insurance agents. So go ahead and schedule your free call today to see exactly how Jerry can help you. Make sure that you check out jerryedel.com/dominate. Again, that's jerryedel.com/dominate. Hey guys, let me ask you a quick question. Do you want to get paid faster and collect more on your insurance invoices? Then listen, look no further than One Claim Solutions. OCS is an insurance billing specialist that works with adjuster on behalf of people just like us, restoration contractors, to accelerate our receivables cycle and, more importantly, increase our overall collections. Contractors that work with One Claim get their invoices paid on average in around 32 days. And in most cases, actually see an increase in the collections that more than offset the price of the service. So in a lot of ways, This makes OCS effectively free. And that's even before you start to count in the overhead savings that's tied to billing and all of the other administrative burdens that go along with that. So I tell you what, let One Claim Solutions deal with carriers so that you can spend more time on what matters most, which is running your business. Get your free consultation today. Head on over to oneclaimsolution.com/dominate. Once again, that is oneclaimsolution.com/dominate. Are you a restoration business owner thinking about selling your business? Or maybe you're just at that point where you're starting to consider some of your options. Either way, you need to know about our sponsor, Restoration Brokers of America. You see, RBA is a full-service brokerage firm that specializes in helping restoration business owners sell their companies for their maximum value. And when you work with RBA, you're going to get a personalized approach that takes everything into consideration, looking at your unique circumstances as well as your goals. They're also going to help you identify the potential buyers. They're going to go ahead and negotiate the best terms, and they're going to make everything go as smooth as possible. Plus, they're also going to handle all of the paperwork and the legal details so that you can focus on exactly what it is that you do best, which is running your business. So if you're thinking about selling your business, don't do it alone. Contact RBA today and let them help you get the best possible outcome. All you have to do is visit their website, sellmyrestorationbusiness.com. Again, that's sellmyrestorationbusiness.com, and learn more. All right, Dominators. So if you are looking for a job or you're looking for career advancement inside of the disaster restoration industry, well, listen, look no further. I want you to go ahead and reach out to Wylander. Wylander is the leading job placement firm inside of the disaster restoration industry. From technicians, estimators, project managers, you name it. If you're looking for a position inside of the restoration arena, Wylander has got the connections that you're looking for. All right, listen, maybe you're a veteran and you're just looking to advance your career, looking for additional opportunities. Well, listen, I invite you to reach out to Wylander, have a conversation about your future. I'm sure you're going to be thrilled. All right, guys. So now we get to the fun part, which is the money-making portion of the show. So let's talk about the profitability. Let's talk about the business model. Let's talk about what restoration contractors have the ability to sell, and also how easy is it to for this process to get started? I mean, do we need to carry inventory? Do we not need to carry inventory? Like, how does it work?
We make it so easy for you to sell these products, to represent these products. We drop ship. You absolutely can carry inventory, but I know a lot, when they're getting ready for this, and they kind of want us to show them first, like prove yourself to us, and we can do that. We can drop ship on demand. So we can the way this works, the way this program works is there's really two options that you have. Within this affiliate program that we do, you have a back office that you can go into at any time, 24/7 a day, 24/7, and put in an order that could ship to you or could ship to anybody else, and you pay the wholesale price on that, and then you can go sell it for whatever you want. We have the manufacturer suggested retail price up there as well. And so you can sell it at the MAP price and make the full split. Or if you're trying to help someone out and you want to give them a deal, there's plenty of money in there to where you can give them a deal, a price break, and you still make money on it. The other way to do it is we have a replicated website. You get a replicated website, and you just put that link on your own page. And if you're at someone's house and they say, "Hey, I'm thinking about it, I'm not sure," then you say, "Okay, if you decide you want to do it, go to this site, go ahead and buy it," and then they end up buying it directly from you. They buy it at full retail, and then at the end of the month, we send you a check for the split between wholesale and retail. I mean, it's literally a breeze. I mean, you're just doing that. Now, the great thing is you sign up another contractor, you're going to also make, you're going to make a 10% on whatever they're selling too. Now, this isn't multi-level marketing. It's not Amway or anything where you have all these different lists. I mean, we're setting it up to where you make it on, the guy that you bring on, and you can make the guy you bring on and the guy he brings on, and that's it.
Right.
But we don't want people out there just trying to make a buck on bringing other people on. We want people to show the world what we're able to do. And you make the most money by selling it. And then there's another great aspect to this too, is all of our units have consumable components, right? All of them will need a cell about every 18 months to 2 years, depending on the product. So you're able to go back and you're able to sell them a new cell that has that UV bulb in it. Um,
Hmm.
all of our units, most of our units are also going to have a filter that needs to be replaced every 6 months to a year, again, depending on the product. So you can go back there and you can have that residual. You build up a lot of customers that have our units. All of a sudden, there's some residual income that's kind of naturally in there, where you call them, next year and you say, hey, I noticed your unit was due for a new cell. And that's kind of your door opener, right? Like, great, you're going to make some money on the cell, but you may be able to say, hey, did you have any other issues with, is there anything we can do while we're there? Can we clean your carpet? Can we do anything else? And it's a great opportunity to get
Yeah,
get an
add
extra
it to
cell
your
in there.
email campaign, add it to your email campaign, to your automations, to things that again, it's just that additional touch point with a customer, right? You have this built-in system where you know that there's going to be, some cells and things like that, or some filters that they're already going to have to buy. Like, what a great conversation starter. And again, a lot of this stuff you could even automate just with a great, email campaign, autoresponder,
Sure.
whatever the case may be. That's obviously a different podcast altogether. But now you have all of these built-in things. Let's talk devices. How many different devices are out there?
So in our line, we've got devices that you can put as small as in your bathroom. My wife calls it. My wife says it saved our marriage. It
Hmm.
kills odor in the bathroom, replaces like a candle or the potpourri, and it covers a space that small. We actually have those not just in our bathroom, but also in our kitchen. We'll cook dinner. And if we cook, we like spicy food. If we cook something really spicy that's going to have a lot of odor to it, we crank that up. We go to the dining room, we eat. When we come back to do the dishes, you can't smell that odor in the kitchen anymore. So we have them that are that small. We actually have some small enough to go in your refrigerator to
I
kill
actually
the
have
odor
some
in
of
your
those.
fridge.
We've
Those are
had some of those,
amazing.
and those are great. I actually
It
noticed
it
that our fruits and vegetables lasted longer.
Oh my gosh, they'll last weeks longer. It kills cross contamination, which is a concern, right? If you've got like chicken and you got fish and you got vegetables, you want to make sure those things don't play nice with each other. You want to kill all that stuff that's gonna make you sick. So that's good. But then as we start getting larger, we have uh, we have units that'll cover 1,500 square feet. We have units that will cover maybe like a bedroom, and it looks like a little lamp you put on your counter, so it's not um, so it still has that aesthetic value. We have units that will cover 3,000 square feet, and it's scalable. So you can, for instance, I have one of these units in our playroom. I have 4 kids, and our playroom in our house is the community center. All the kids from the neighborhood come in and they play ping pong and they shoot pool and they play with Legos, and I have this thing, and on a given day, it's probably around 500 square feet. But when all those kids are in there and the viral load's higher, I crank it all the way up to 3,000 square feet and let it really do its work down there. And so it's scalable. When they all leave, I hit the ozone up really high on there. So, because my wife's a huge germaphobe, she used to wash every single Lego. Now we just hit the away mode and let the ozone clean the Legos for us. Because, like you said, it's going to get in every nook and cranny, and we don't have to worry about it. We have some units that are ozone free. I know a lot of you probably do some work in commercial spaces like schools or nursing homes where ozone is just a non-starter. Some of you are out in California, I'm sure. Ozone is not allowed there. So we have some units that are UL 2998 certified that are zero ozone whatsoever. Now we believe in it, obviously. We think it's important, but if you're not able to leave that one behind, the ones we have with no ozone but have the photocatalysis and have the OtoGuard and the ionization, those are fantastic units to use there too. We have some ozone generators that contractors can use as part of their remediation. We have units that you can wear. I think that's pretty much the line of air purifiers. We also have some fans and some heaters. as well. So a great line of products that we have to sell for your
So
contractors.
basically, regardless of the situation, regardless of the environment, regardless of what the end goal is, there should be a product. I mean, if someone's a little bit of a germaphobe, hell, I mean, I remember, like we've had some, the personal
Right.
ones that you wear. It's like your personal,
Yep.
air purifier. You know, you're jumping on a plane, especially like during that like COVID era, and
Oh
everything was a
yeah.
little wacky. And it was amazing. Like, you know, I'd like walk in around that time with my like personal device, and people were like, "What is that?" I was like, "Oh, so glad you asked." And that was like the conversation. That was the
It is a great
conversation starter.
conversation starter. Yeah.
And like, you know, for all those dominators out there, I really just want you to start thinking about, you know, what this can mean for your business. Is it going to generate new water mitigation jobs or new mold remediation jobs? No. But what it is going to do is it's going to increase your average order value, right? It's going to
Right.
increase your overall invoice amount. And out of every 10, and again, maybe your numbers are going to be much better than mine, but out of every 10 projects that we would do, 8 of those would typically be sold a device one way or another. And it wasn't because I was coming in doing a big gun ho, you know, sales presentation. It was, what should we do now? It was always the same question. Hey, Rico, what should we do now? It's like, so glad you asked. Look at this line of products. This is what I would recommend. And look, you know, $500 here, $1,500 here,
Right.
$3,500 there. You know, again, that adds up. And if you're one of those people that have, you know, 4, 5, 6, 10, 15, 20 teams out on the road, how much money are you leaving on the table? And the easiest customer to sell is the customer that you already have,
Exactly.
right?
Hmm.
You don't have the cost of lead acquisition. You don't have to romance a new relationship. Like, you're already there. They already trust you. You are the pro. You are the expert. And more importantly, it's, for me, I always looked at it as just free money. It was free money
Hmm.
to offer free value. It's the customer's typically going to ask you, hey, what should I do? You're like, this is legitimately something that most people should have in their homes anyways, some kind of an active air purification device. And you feel good about it. You didn't have to carry any inventory. You put in the person's name. You guys drop ship it right to their front door. Or if you want to do a second visit, you could always get it delivered directly to you. You could show up and hand deliver it to Susie Q, and everybody's happy. And I mean, it's such a great, not only device, but also overall business model that I think really people need to start thinking about it, thinking about the economics a little bit more.
Absolutely. And you know, we have products. We mentioned all the products just a minute ago, but every single one of those is going to fit pretty much any budget, right? If you're helping somebody, you know, the lowest price unit we have is $50, and it goes all the way up to $850. So if you know, you got two real motivations here, right? One is, and I think everyone agrees to this, is they want to help people, right? So if you get that person that says, man, I'd like to do something, but I can't do everything. Well, here, let me help you with this one something, you know? And like
Mm,
I said, if you want to go buy it on your back office, you want to give them a discount, whatever, that's fine. That's up to you. Then the second opportunity is making money. I mean, we're both here because we want to make money. That's what we do.
right.
And there is a great opportunity for that too, because you're going to have some people, and I've had them talk to me, friends of mine, and that say, "Hey, what do I need for my house?"
Yep.
Because you don't just need one unit in your house. I don't have one unit in my house. I have probably a dozen if when you count all the small ones, and I've
The
got, you
small
know,
ones. Yeah.
yeah, I got a fridge in every fridge. I've got, you know, a small one in each bathroom, and then I got the big one downstairs in the playroom. So what I'm saying is, if you get a really large house, man, I mean that one large house, as far as profit that you're making, could easily be an extra $1,500, $2,000 that you're making on that. Maybe that one small apartment for, you know, the widow lady or whatever, that's going to get you an extra 30 or $40, and that's great, but you helped them out, you did something to help them. But there's opportunities to
Right.
where you can really add some serious dollars to your invoices.
Yeah, and really, it always goes back to working smarter, not harder, right?
Hmm.
No extra steps, no extra labor involved, no extra inventory, like no extra nothing. It's literally just, hey, by the way, this is what I believe that you need. This is what I think you should get. Very few people are ever against air purification, especially after a mold remediation project or after a
Right.
water mitigation project, because again, they're on edge. They saw all the dust, they saw the containment up, they saw all the gear that you rolled in, and then all of a sudden you're taking all this high-tech equipment and you're, putting it back in your truck, and they're like, wait, hold on. Am I going to be okay? What should I do? And that question constantly pops up. Besides the equipment, do you guys, what about the filters side? Are you guys on the residential side now as well? The residential side filters?
We are. We just launched that. We're really excited about it. We're going to be at a couple of shows coming up to really push those out. We're at the IFMA show in Denver, the facilities managers show that would be in Denver. We're also going to ISSA in Las Vegas in November, and we're rolling out our filters for household use. Now, those don't fall into this affiliate program, but we can still absolutely, we're working on trying to get them in there. The problem with putting them in this program that we have right now is obviously filters have to ship in case quantities. And a lot of times people aren't comfortable bringing in a whole case because there's so many different sizes of filters. However, with that said, we can absolutely hook you guys up. If you need filters, just talk to Rico. He can put you in touch with the right people, and we can help you out with that. Our filters are amazing. Our filters right now for your return air filter have two technologies. The first one is nanofiber. Nanofiber is something that's just hit the market. It's not exclusive to us, but it is something that's very cutting edge, and we're one of the only companies doing nanofiber. What the great part about nanofiber and why everybody likes it is you get the MERV 11 filtration rating with the pressure drop on your HVAC of a MERV 6.
Which is an amazing point, because I just wanted to talk to you. I'm so glad that you brought that up, because a lot of people in the restoration is like, hey, get a higher MERV rating, right? But then all of a sudden you get all this additional strain on sometimes not the newest of AC units, and all of a sudden things start to break. So that's amazing. So talk to us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so nanofiber is like, a fraction of the size of a human hair. And so it's able to capture all these particulates while still allowing airflow freely through your filter. And so it's an amazing technology that we're able to put in these filters. And then on top of that, we coat the filters with OtoGuard. So these have been huge in hospitality. And I mean, they're just blowing up in hospitality right now. Airbnbs, timeshares, long-term rentals, hotels. They cannot get enough of these, especially anytime there's a place where someone's going to cook. They want these filters because we're mitigating odor so well. But yeah, that's a great product, and I think y'all can do really, really good with those.
That's awesome. And again, I mean, there's, if anybody wants some more information on that, there is going to be a link in the video description below, as well as in the show notes below. Go ahead and check out that link. You can go ahead, and the sign up process is very, very simple. You can go ahead and basically be a wholesaler. And from there, just start really, keeping this as part of your arsenal. Every time that you're having a conversation with one of your water mitigation, mold remediation clients, fire and smoke restoration, the biohazard projects, like really, if you're dealing inside a space and that space just so happens to have air, there's probably an opportunity for you to, at the very least, if not sell it, at least mention that this is something that the people could potentially benefit from. And again, the money-making opportunity is certainly there. You're going to be helping out your customer. You're not just going in and out. And there's this really cool thing that happens too. Every time, everybody wants recognition, or at least to be front of mind. Every time that someone looks at that device, part of their brain is going to remember the recommendation. Every time, like 3 weeks from now, typically when we do a remediation and someone was to ask the homeowner, hey, who did the remediation? They forgot the person's name. They forgot the person's company. Every time that this person walks in from work, and they smell that freshness, because there is like this fresh odor that's in the house, people are going to be like, I remember. So this is this constant reminder of that, the fact that you were there and that somehow you're still touching that home, even weeks and months later. There's a great psychological effect to that to kind of keep you front of mind. And there's, again, just painting this entire picture. There's really nothing to shake a stick at when it comes down to not only the technology that you guys are using, but also just the profitability, but then the non-tangible business benefits of just kind of staying front of mind as well.
Yeah, you're right. When you have one of these units in your space, people always notice the smell or the freshness that it brings. And you're right. Like they say, where'd you get that? Oh, my buddy Rico and his restoration company, they left it behind. This is one of the best moves we ever made. And hey, don't be surprised when that person calls you, not for a restoration, but hey, can I get one of those units for my home? I mean, it's epidemic sometimes. We've I gave one to a friend of mine who's a physician. She loved it in her home. A couple of doctors came over to a party at her home, and all of a sudden we're in all of their doctors' offices, and that's how it works.
Yep, exactly. So Tim, typically how long is the process? So if someone, clicks on the link below, they go through that process, how quickly before they can start recommending these devices to their people?
It's literally minutes. Literally minutes. You go on, it's a few short things that you fill out to get you access to the back office to where you can put in orders. There's a phone number there if you need some help to be walked through that. We have a great administrator here, Sam. She's great. She can help you and show you how to put those orders in. She can help you with the link to your site if you want to put it on your own website. But I mean, we're talking minutes that it's going to take once you hit that link and start going to work on it.
Awesome, Tim. Well, brother, man, thank you so much for spending the time here with us today. It's always a pleasure speaking with you. Love the company, love the technology. Again, Dominators, this is something that I personally have done. This is why I'm possibly so passionate about it, because I've seen it firsthand, and I know what the before my Greentech experience and then post Greentech experience. Before, again, there was not many additional money making opportunities there. After Greentech, there was money making opportunities there, and frankly, just people were happier, and you feel better overall, knowing that you're walking away and that you're leaving something behind besides just the great work that you did. So Dominators, if you want to go ahead and check out more about this, make sure that you either click on the link in the video description, and or if you're just listening, make sure that you check it out in the show notes below, or just shoot us a quick email and then I'll go ahead and I'll shoot you over the information that you need. Tim, brother, thank you again so much for jumping on with us today. Always a pleasure having you on. And Dominators, as always, hustle, hack, dominate. I'll catch you guys on the next one.
You've been listening to Restoration Domination, your #1 resource for tips, tricks, and hacks to help your business grow. Subscribe to our channel and follow us for more Restoration Domination. And follow our host at Rico Garcia Jr. on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn. Till next time, this is Restoration Domination. Hustle, hack, dominate.